Today we're going to go over a very important topic for all GX470 owners. What's the most important topic for all GX470 owners? Upper control arms. I bet you thought I was gonna say, well, 35s fit with no lift. No, that's actually not the most important. Upper control arms are the most important topic for all GX470 owners. And in specific, we're going to talk about JBA Off-Road upper control arms versus stock upper control arms. And I have a nice little setup here inside the trunk or back of my GX470. You can see the JBA Off-Road versus the stock. We're going to be installing the JBA Off-Road upper control arms and replacing the stock units. Some reasons why you would want to install upper control arms on your GX470. One, it really does give the car or the truck, the rig, the alignment it needs. You can see here it has more of a kick out here. It comes out a little bit further than the factory ones. That gives you more caster. It allows you to align the truck properly, because remember, when you lift the vehicle, the front tires are going, I guess the CVs are kind of angled out, and what that does to the tires, it kind of angles it for positive camber. And then you can imagine as it travels, the wheel and tire can move around, leading to funny alignments, weird feelings over expansion joints on the freeway. On the trail, it's not as sure-footed. Upper control arms are a must install for a GX470. I have the Eibach lift on my vehicle. There it is. That the claim to fame with Eibach is it can utilize stock upper control arms, and that's what I had. And truth be told, it ran just fine with stock upper control arms. But I realized I was hitting the limits with those. Sure, it looks great on the street, but as soon as we're on the trail, I just didn't feel as sure-footed. And why not get some peace of mind? And why not go above and beyond and get some really beefy ones? That brings us to why we got JBA Off-Road ones. First of all, you have a really cool, I love this part. I mean, this is probably not even the main selling point, but we can add grease to the upper control arm super easily with grease inputs on all the most important joints. And I got a grease gun. We'll be doing that later. Another thing is the quality. Look at the quality of these units. I mean, huge, thick pieces of metal, kick up, giant, they're overbuilt. Here's the factory one. You can see, yeah, sure, the factory one might be a little bit lighter. It's cut out here. But I mean, if you flip it over, here we go. You can see this metal ain't going anywhere. These are built really well, high quality stuff. And on top of that, they throw in a lifetime warranty on the upper control arms. The ball joints give you a 1-year warranty because, I mean, users can thrash those. But for the most part, the upper control arm has a lifetime warranty. Now, we're going to go over also in this video, if we add the JBA Off-Road upper control arms, are we going to get more travel? That's another big debatable point. We've already measured the truck on the droop with the stock ones, and then we're going to put these on, and we're going to actually compare the two with droop, and then maybe travel up. One thing to note, as we're installing these, after you're done, make sure you get an alignment. I don't have an alignment rack here, so the first thing we're going to do tomorrow is get this truck aligned, and then I'll give you driving impressions. But we're going to go over the install, we're going to go over why, we're going to go over if you gain more travel, and then we're going to go over driving impressions. So hop on board and follow along as we install these Johnnies and take the GX to the area where it needs to be, better handling. We'll see you there. Too deep into the install, I just want to pause and let you all know that this video was made possible by Nitto Tire. I run the 34-inch Nitto Tire Ridge Grapplers on my GX, and I love it. We got them on all around. They got a fifth one in the back. 34-inch on this is 285/70/18 with a voice crack. Not only do the tires look amazing on the rig, they perform super well. So thank you so much to Nitto Tire USA for making this video possible, and thank you guys for watching. Now let's get back into the install. Let's look at the box and the way this is packed. First of all, this is pretty amazing. JBA sends you texts that your items are on the way. They give you updates via email. They're amazing with their customer service. And then check this out, lifetime warranty in the box, 1-year warranty on ball joints and bushings, and signed by the president of JBA Off-Road. This is really freaking cool. Even a personal note about everything that makes their company tick. Really great company here. Let's check out the quality of the upper control arms. You can see these things are really stout. Look at the joints, They have this really cool fitting, what we're gonna show you a little bit later about how to fill these bad boys with grease. They have a very special fitting here. We're gonna use our grease gun on that later. But this is pretty amazing. We're gonna take this out here. This is kind of like a wannabe unboxing. Wow, those are heavy. Packaged really well. And then even washers and instructions on how to install your JBA Off-Road upper control arms. The Lexus is about to get a major handling upgrade. One of the points that people always debate about is, do I get more travel when I install my upper control arms? And to answer that question, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, wheel spacing, shock length, ultimate tube length. You know, it's a hard question to answer. However, what we're gonna do today is we're going to measure the distance from the fender. Oh, there's a nice scratch. To the bottom of the top of the tire with the car on the ground. Then we're gonna jack it up, and as soon as we start to see some light underneath the tire, we're gonna measure the droop amount with a good old-fashioned tape measure. Then we're gonna install the JBAs, and we're gonna see if we increase any droop amount. So travel by seeing how much lower the tire can go, or seeing how much longer it can travel down to get more, I guess, travel in the suspension. This is not a scientific test by any means. So we are going to measure from the fender, and we're going to use this chip as a reference. Man, my car has seen better days. To the top of the tire. And you can see from the chip, the car is on the ground. We haven't raised or lowered anything. This is just standard from the lift. Top of the tire, we are at 5 3/4. And what I'm doing is I'm just using my fingers and my nails as the guide here. 5 3/4. Now we're gonna jack up the car and see what the droop distance is with the stock upper control arms. Then we're gonna compare the JBAs. So let's get right into it. So we've got the car in the air just where the wheel came off the ground by just a fraction of a centimeter. Again, this isn't a scientific way of measuring. This is just a rudimentary way of measuring. And so we're gonna set a baseline here of travel with the stock upper control arms. You can see the upper control arm is totally at its limit, sagging. I left the tire on, so we have weight on there, it's the same. It was 5 3/4. And right now we're about 8 1/2. So 8 1/2, 5, I'm not gonna do the math, but 5 3/4 was the stock height. We drooped down to 8 1/2. It's just over 2 inches of droop. So now we're gonna go ahead and walk you through the install of the upper control arms, put them on, and then see if we gain any more droop from putting them on, and we'll go from there. Pretty straightforward. We're gonna remove the bracket for the ABS. We're gonna remove the sway bar end link. We're gonna remove the hub bolt here. We're gonna remove these, and then this should just kind of wiggle out. Pop in the new upper control arm, pop in that, pop that back in, and this job should be done. I don't want to jinx myself because these could be hard, but we're gonna go for it. So let's start it, shall we? In order to remove the sway bar end link, we need to relieve some of the stress that's on this lower control arm and the upper control arm. So I'm actually going to jack it up. You can see it's moving up, traveling. And then this, you saw that just now, kind of loosened up. I should be able to either pry it, I could pry it right on out. And that's out, great. Now we're gonna work on the ball joint here for the upper. And I'm gonna have to pull this cotter pin here, pull the nut off, and that should pop out too, so we'll see. Got the covers off, and now it's time to access this long bolt. I mean, so long. You can see how far across it goes, but the problem is, this is in the way, and I'm really worried about ruining the brake line here. I'm pretty much like full blown on it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and pop this off right here to give myself some room on the brake line. This is a hard brake line, and I don't want to damage it. So I'm gonna hit it with a 12. That'll be just fine. And then that should pop it off. We just got the nut on this very long bolt off with an impact and a little pivot. So boom, that's off. And now it's a matter of pulling that whole thing out. And then we can show you what the upper control arm looks like. So let's get to that. when you're trying to get the driver's side bolt out of the upper control arm, there's a bracket that's in the way that actually holds one of the main engine harnesses. And if you try to get it from underneath, you're not going to get it out. So make sure you go and pop the hood and move that bracket so you can pull the bolt out. Okay, it's out. Let's compare it to the JBA upper control arm. You can see here's the factory upper control arm. Here's the JBA upper control arm. The beauty of these upper control arms is they give you the caster you need, but I mean, already upon first inspection, it does come out a little bit longer than the factory one. Has a little bit more of a kick for caster, has beefier construction. I mean, the factory one is actually pretty dang thick, but we got bushing ends on both sides here. We only have on one side here. We have a really thick plate here with an adjustable pillow ball. This has a pillow ball here too. And then this is obviously for the brake line that we, bracket that we took off. Let's go ahead and reverse the order of how we took everything off and put it back on. Bushing's already pressed into the upper control arms. They give you this really sweet pack of bushing lubricant. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it liberally to both ends of here. Then on top of that, they give you awesome washers for the main bolt to go in. You can see the main bolt will go in like this. And when it already comes with washers, they're doing most of the work for you here. And I'm gonna go ahead and start squeezing this in, apply it liberally, get the upper control arm in the vehicle, and then I'll use the grease gun on these cool little fittings and fill it with grease. Got the upper control arm in place. It was hard because what they don't tell you is on the driver's side, there's a thing like the battery and then like the main hoop in the way, but we got it in thanks to Emily's help. And one cool thing about the JBA instructions is they go over everything, literally. Proper orientation for the washers. Thick, thin, thin, thick. Then they tell you how much you need to torque it down to, 85 foot-pounds. So we got our trusty 19 with a wobble, and we're gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna run my torque wrench on it, and we're gonna crank that to 85 foot-pounds. Then they go in and they tell you how many pound-feet of torque on the brake line bolt, the main connector bolt here, and then also the sway bar end link. So we'll go ahead and do that now and button up this side of the install. That was a lame mini. We got the bolt all torqued in. We put the brake line back. Now it's time to attach the spindle or whatever to, the bolt to the spindle, and then probably put the brake line on the hard line. So let's get that done. Pro tip to bolt this up, it does require a 22, and that little nut in there is going to spin unless you pop on a little 10mm open-ended and then you spin the two above it. When you do yours, just use that as a pro tip to help yourself out. Another great thing about these upper control arms from JBA is, do you see these channels here? There's little tiny holes in the channel, and these channels are designed to help you release the grease when you pack them with grease, so you can't overpack the bearings. It's such an ingenious design. I think it's such a cool little touch. It's made for the home mechanic or the home do-it-yourself or a home maintenance person. Plug in your grease gun to the fitting, pack it. As soon as you start to see it ooze out, you're done. And we'll show you that in progress once we get this one installed in the vehicle. See how it started to ooze out right then and there? It's hard to see, but it came out of the sides, and then you know your bushing is filled with grease. We got both sides of the upper control arms on. You can see this is the passenger side. We just got it on, filled it with grease. Everything's all buttoned up. Okay, so we measured the droop length with the factory upper control arms, and now we're going to measure the droop length. Again, not very scientific, very rudimentary, with the JBA Off-Road upper control arms. I already took a measurement, and it looked like we gained ½ an inch of droop, but then, you know, we might also gain ½ inch of upwards travel. So on the forums, you might hear the upper control arms give you about an inch of travel. We still haven't aligned the rig, so I think giving it some more an alignment. This is just fresh off an install. Let's see what the numbers come out to. So we're gonna go ahead and go up to the number here, and we're gonna draw a line. And you saw we were at 8.5 before, and now we're about 8 and I'd say, I don't know, is that like 15, 16, or 8 and 7/8. So almost 9 inches. We're just right about here. So 8 3/4, and then right about underneath. Again, we're gonna get an alignment. We're gonna massage the bushings, but right out of the bat, we have one extra, just a little bit extra of droop to keep the tires on the ground. You can see the tires are in the air here, slowly moving freely. And you know, in situations like on the trail where you really need just a little bit more downward travel for the tire to keep biting, this is where this is going to pay dividends. Now that we got these on the car, let's get the truck aligned and give you some driving impressions. We just saw us install the upper control arms. We got the rig aligned, and now it's time to take the rig on a road trip. First thing I gotta say is we're going on the highway around 60 miles an hour, maybe even 70. And there's no more shimmy when the rig goes over freeway expansions. The stock upper control arms are great, but when you lift the car, you really only have so much to deal with in terms of alignment when there's compression. And the beauty of these upper control arms is when the wheels and tires compress at 60 miles an hour, the wheel doesn't jerk anymore. It's actually a much smoother ride. We're gonna take it off-road too and see if that translates to off-road. We're gonna run it at 25 PSI and see if the upper control arms actually make any difference off-road. Let's air down the rig and see what happens off-road. All right, we're on any typical fire road that you'd see around kind of a graded road. We're going around 40 miles an hour, and the wheel is tracking true. There's no shaking. The iBox suspension is doing a really good job absorbing the bumps, and the upper control arms, they feel a lot smoother on this graded, corrugated road. You can kind of hear the truck vibrating a little bit. We're at 25 PSI, and I gotta say, these upper control arms are fantastic. They blow me away. They're built really well. The price is good. The customer service is through the roof. They're super easy to maintain. If anything happens to the rig, they're super easy to fix or troubleshoot. I can't recommend these enough. If you are looking for upper control arms for your GX470, go with JBA. They're not gonna steer you wrong. If you have any questions, they're always a phone call away. Some of the bigger companies, or even smaller companies for that matter, aren't very attentive. I can't tell you how impressed I am with them. Again, I went out and bought them. This is not a sponsored ad. This is just me saying, hey, what can I buy? And I couldn't be more impressed. So if you're looking for upper control arms for your GX470, consider JBA. They are fantastic, and we're gonna go hit this trail and find us a campsite.